Ron Baptiste rides his Harley in Springfield, Tennessee, but he used to run with a very different crowd.
I always used to question God. Why me? Why couldn't this have happened to somebody else?
When Ron was just 3 months old, he developed a facial cancer that nearly claimed his life. But it didn't. Instead, as he grew older, it led to a life of destruction.
I couldn't understand why I couldn't get along with anybody, and I was kind of ostracized by everybody.
He spent the first 6 years of his life in hospitals and experienced a lot of pain during surgeries as doctors tried to reconstruct his face.
They brought me out of the hospital environment and immediately put me into elementary school. And naturally, I was, I guess you'd call it the freak of the school.
He was a target for ridicule, which led to his very first fight with a school bully, which he won.
All of a sudden, at lunch, I started getting all these little girls bringing me their ice cream. So I done figured it out. This is my way in. This is my way to be accepted in the society that I wanted so much to be a part of.
As Ron grew older, the fighting got worse. He even began carrying weapons to school.
Violence is like a, it's like a drug. It's an adrenaline. You get used to that adrenaline and you like it. And then all of a sudden your body needs it.
Soon, alcohol and drugs joined his list of addictions. Before long, he landed in prison. It was here that he came to Christ.
The very thing that I had been lacking my entire life, all of a sudden, I knew was okay. And by me wanting to be accepted by people wasn't really it at all. I wanted to be accepted by God.
When Ron got out of prison, he began to live for God. But a falling out with some church leaders led him right back to his old ways.
Went back to drinking, went back to all of it. And matter of fact, I ended up being far worse off than I ever was before I ever got saved.
Ron met Cricket, the woman that would eventually become his wife. Drugs and alcohol became the center of their relationship, and before long, Ron found himself wrapped up in even more violence. One night after a fight in a bar, a man walked up to Ron and gave him $50 for beating the other guy up. And soon he began carrying a weapon.
Whenever I used it, it had to go in the river, and then I had to buy another one.
Ron's lifestyle almost cost him his marriage and his children.
But my wife told me, said that she couldn't sit around and watch it. And she was leaving.
To keep her from leaving, Ron convinced her to move to a new town and start over. His wife began taking their children to church. Ron refused to go, but it wasn't long before he felt the urge to return to the one person he knew would accept him, Jesus Christ.
I was sitting in the floor drinking beer, and it's like he came in there and like sat down with me and just point blank told me, he said, "Ronnie, I never intended for your life to turn out like this, but I'll help you if you still want it."
Ron decided to make a change. He got up, poured out his alcohol, and flushed all his drugs.
I told the Lord, I said, "Father, if you'll take me and forgive me, I'm going to clean myself up here. And I'm going to do everything I can to serve you. You don't have to do anything for me. Just forgive me."
Ron began attending church with his family and walked away from the drugs and alcohol, knowing God had completely delivered him from his addictions. As he began to dive back into the Bible, he learned how to overcome the anger he had spent his entire life dealing with. Today, he is the pastor of a motorcycle church, complete with a custom-made Harley pulpit and blue jean choir. His goal is to help others get out of the lifestyle he left behind.
Just because of some things that you've done, God He didn't stop loving you. He hasn't turned His back on you. God's waiting on you. God wants to heal you, restore you, and bring you back to where He's always intended for you to be.